Hi everyone, it's Rax, bringing you the final class overview for the launch of Diablo Immortal. We are going to go over the Wizard today. Now I have the Wizard ranked the lowest on the tier list, and as we go through, I think it's going to be pretty obvious why. Wizards suffer from a couple of things, but Blizzard has been constantly iterating on this game. A lot has changed from the tech alpha to the alpha to the beta. A lot of things are going to change from the beta to the launch, and they are constantly switching everything. So, in some strange, bizarre way, I'm thinking actually Wizard might be one of the better classes to start as, because they are absolutely not on the nerf chopping block like maybe Crusaders, Barbs, and Demon Hunters are. And I'm expecting them to get some buffs, and you know what happens when classes get buffs. Sometimes they can jump to the top. Let's talk about Wizards here. So, what are the good things about Wizards? They can do a lot of AoE and a lot of crowd control. Their crowd control, especially in PvP, is tremendous. And their crowd control and AoE make them actually can be a very good option for challenge rifts. They do have very, very good skill synergies. The only skill synergies that can rival a Wizard's are a Monk. So when you learn to play a Wizard correctly, you're going to feel great about it. Definitely rewards tactical play in PvP. There's actually two PvP builds that play totally differently. One of them is more of a controlling, stay back with your team, kind of typical Wizard build. And another one is this kamikaze build, which is crazy effective. Fights at range or close up. They do have some different options that the other melee characters do not have. And they have great mobility. They have teleport, and one of their lightning abilities can also give you a ton of movement. Wizards can zip around quite easily. Now we go to the bad news. A lot of their skills have either very long cooldowns or are channeled. And that is just not good enough in most cases for Diablo Immortal. You don't want to cast one thing and then not be able to do it for 15 seconds. And you don't want to stand there channeling a skill. That's almost never good in this game. You need to be mobile, need to be doing a lot of things simultaneously. This is one of the biggest problems with this class. It relies on you comboing. If you don't combo, you lose a ton of damage. You have to learn to do it. And in addition to that, you have to skill shot a lot of your casts. You have to land the meteor exactly where the monsters are going to be, because there's a little bit of a drop time. They're very squishy. They're Wizards. Everybody knew that was going to happen. And they really only give one buff from Disintegrate, which is honestly a lot to give up just to give one buff to the group. So they're pretty good at AoE, but every class is good at AoE. They're incredibly good at crowd controlling. They do have some very nice synergies, and they do move very well. But we need to get rid of the long cooldowns and the channeled skills and how everything on Wizard is so difficult to do, whereas other classes like the Barbarian's Undying Rage just triggers automatically. That, if anything, should be a skill shot. Now let's quickly go over all the skills for the Wizard to see what's good and what's not. So when you start out, you got two choices for a primary attack. Let's start with the one that you won't use, Electrocute. Electrocute does some damage, then it jumps to additional targets and does less damage to them. Wizards are already really good at AoE damage. They don't need to do more AoE, they need to do more single target. Therefore, Magic Missile is just the better option, I think, in every single game mode. So you use Magic Missile here. Arcane Torrent sucks. Don't use it. It's another channeling skill. Arcane Wind is very, very good, especially with some of its legendary powers. Once you have Burning from Meteor or Scorch, it makes a Firestorm. You put Arcane Wind in the Firestorm, you deal more damage. You've got to combo it this way, and then it does massive damage. So this is a good skill. Black Hole is amazing. It's amazing crowd control. You throw the Black Hole, it gathers everything in. You can make its radius bigger. You can make it move a little bit. So good for gathering up enemies. And one of the absolute best PvP skills in the entire game. Hitting someone with a Black Hole is almost a guaranteed death. Disintegrate sucks, but Disintegrate, you have to stand there and channel it, right? There is one of the powers that gives 10% increased damage for the party. So in some party situations, you'll take Disintegrate and just stand there and channel. just to say, you know, you're kind of like Ralph Wiggum, I'm helping, you know. But otherwise, this skill's not very good. Ice armor is not very good. Again, it's completely worthless in PvE, but in PvP, you can take this Winter's Eye, and it no longer absorbs damage, and instead it conjures an ice storm around you. Like I said, we're going to have a PvP build where you're just kamikaze diving in, and it has all this passive wizardy damage. It's a lot of fun to play. You're going to die sometimes, but it's going to be worthwhile. This is the only real use for this skill in the game. Ice Crystal sucks. Don't use this. Lightning Nova is very good. You shoot away a bunch of lightning, and then it comes back, and it does some damage. And there is this beautiful legendary power. When you cast Lightning Nova, it increases your movement speed by 60%. That's very, very fast. And it has a very low cooldown. So this skill, especially with this legendary power, is amazing with a super short cooldown of 6 seconds. Meteor's absolutely amazing. Throw it down, puts all the burny stuff on the ground, and then you throw your, what's it called, Arcane Wind. You throw your Arcane Wind into it, create a big old firestorm, and deal massive damage. Meteor is a staple of wizards. Ray of Frost is not good. You can use it in the PvP build to control people, but for the most part, you'll never use this skill. Scorch is pretty good. It's an alternative to Meteor to make firestorms. We will be using this in a couple of builds. And you can do this crazy thing with the Kamikaze Wizard, where it summons 4 flaming orbs that orbit around you, and they strike enemies with damage and make them burn. And then this, combined with this legendary, it makes it knock away enemies. Every single orb that you continuously hit people with knocks them away. Then you have all your passive damage, and you have your primary going. You can delete someone instantly. So there's some cute things you can do with this in PvP. Slow time. Currently, this skill sucks. Don't use it. And Teleport is obviously a staple. It's an amazing movement skill for the wizard. Their class consumable is the Scroll of Westmarch. Opens a portal to Westmarch. Everyone can just teleport to town whenever they want. This is absolutely useless. Primary attributes. Wizards have it kind of flipped from the other classes. Intelligence is what you want. It gives you extra damage. Fortitude would be the second best. It gives you Armor Pen. Armor Pen is critical hit damage. So damage is the best with Int. Then Armor Pen for Fortitude, which is critical hit damage. Then Vitality to stay alive. Next would be Willpower. It gives you Potency and Resistance. Potency and Resistance suck, but it's better than nothing because Strength gives you absolutely nothing other than the 1 ORDR, and we need to rename this combat rating because Blizzard changed it. So we'll be doing an update there. You're looking for Intelligence, Fortitude, and Vitality on Wizards. So we go to the family bonuses. We go to Vengeance Stone. Vengeance Stone is very good. Your primary attacks have a chance to increase all damage you deal by 100%. This is very critical for killing bosses. Wizards really struggle on single target, which is something that a lot of other classes have the same problem with. Primary attacks have a 2% increased chance to inflict damage and stun enemies. This is going to give you more crowd control. It's going to be very good for wizards. And finally, Wildfire Stone. Wildfire Stone is, it summons a Hydra. The Hydra is okay, but the main reason why a lot of classes like Wildfire Stone is because it rolls critical hit chance as an attribute, which is very, very powerful. Going to normal gems, it's the same for all classes. Red is better than blue. Blue is better than yellow. Tourmaline is the best gem in the game, and Tourmaline is better than Ruby because damage is better than life. Sapphire gives Armor Pen, which is critical hit damage, is better than Aquamarine, which is armor, which is living, and both Citrine and Topaz suck. So just use whichever one of the highest yellows you have, doesn't matter. If you're ever given a choice to choose which gem you want, pick Tourmaline every time. And if Tourmaline's not a choice, then try to get a Sapphire or a Ruby or something like that. Legendary gems, like we did for every other class, we are not going to talk about the best in slot legendary gems for 2 reasons. One, pretty much every class uses the same best in slot legendary gems, if you can get them. And the second problem is unless you're a whale, you are not going to get these best in slot legendary gems at the beginning unless you are insanely lucky or unless they change the game. So these are like way, way in the future. But let's talk about the starter legendary gems that you might actually find in the beginning of your journey. Everlasting Torment is the best 1-star legendary gem for every class. It inflicts agony. It does a lot of damage. It gives you more attack speed. Everlasting Torment is the best 1-star legendary gem. You're definitely looking for this. Fervent Fang is amazing. It helps you deal more damage to a single target. And I believe that they give this to you in the Battle Pass. So it's going to be very, very helpful for you because wizards suck at single target. Berserker's Eye is going to give you more damage, and it's going to make you take more damage. We'll take that all day long. We get hit harder to deal more damage. We'll make that trade all the time. Lightning Core does Chain Lightning. And Chain Lightning, the Chain Lightning that comes from this legendary gem, is quite strong. Now, you could argue Wizard's already good at AoE. Why are we getting more AoE? That's a fair point. But the Chain Lightning is really good, and I believe you get a Lightning Core right away in the tutorial of the game. So put it on. It's pretty good. Sled's Weakening with 6% increased damage after killing an elite monster. Not the best, but it's pretty decent. I mean, these are 1-star legendary gems. And finally, Chain Death increases the damage that you deal per target hit. Well, wizards are amazing at black holing everything and then hitting a lot of targets, so you get a lot of value out of this gem compared to some of the other classes. We got the Paragon Tree here. The Paragon Tree I can explain to you in a very simple way. It just takes you through the path of all the trees and essentially tells you how to get the most damage out of it. So I'll let you use the slider bar and go through all of these to make sure that you know the right path. The one thing I will tell you to remember is you need to click the check mark for whichever tree you want to have active. The circle nodes are passives. So if I mouse over this, it gives me 80 damage. This is forever. You get 80 damage no matter what Paragon tree you have selected, get it all the time. But the square nodes, see how it has a square on the outline? This is a special skill that only applies to the Vanquisher tree, and you only get it if you check that you're using this tree. So the basic idea is to get all the actives from one tree and hit the check mark and use that tree for a while. Okay, so make sure that you hit the check mark on the Paragon thing. So now that we've went over the wizard overview, now it's very easy for us to jump in and see all the different guides. So which one are you going to start with? Of course, leveling up. What do you do while you level up? First thing you do is you close this ad and you go this way. So you're going to start with Magic Missile, which is your best primary. Start with Scorch, which is fine. It gives you burning. And then you get Arcane Wind, which does more damage to burning enemies. So you scorch them, light them on fire, throw the Arcane Wind for the more damage, and then just hit them with your primary until they come back up, okay? Not a bad combination to start with. Lightning Nova is very good. Remember, if you get that legendary power, the Siphon. If you can get the Siphon where it increases your movement speed by 60%, you're going to be plowing. Makes it way, way stronger. So hopefully you can get this legendary. It's one of the best ones for a wizard. At 18, we get Teleport. Now we can move around very freely. And then at 38, we're going to get Black Hole, which we will get rid of Lightning Nova for. But if you have the Siphon, if you do get that movement speed, then you might want to consider leaving Lightning Nova on your bar. And finally, at 41, we will replace Scorch with Meteor. It's going to deal more damage and give us the flamey patch to throw our Arcane Wind through. This is another kind of problem with wizards. Notice how it took us to level 41 to get our full build. The other classes got most of their best skills way earlier than that. Like a lot of them were at full power by level 20. This is another struggle that wizards are going to have. So if anyone from Blizzard is watching, here's a couple of things that we could do to help the wizard. Can we get either some of their better skills earlier, or can we make some of their earlier skills that we unlock better so we can use them in the leveling process? All right, so what are you going to do when you play solo? Well, this probably isn't going to be too surprising. It's pretty much exactly the same thing that we just showed you in the leveling guide. You know, we're obviously showing you what you would build into to play when you reach level 60. So of course, we'll go for Magic Missile, best primary. We'll go the Meteor to lay the fire on the ground. Then we hit him with Arcane Wind, which is extra damage. We take the Lightning Nova when we have that legendary power to be very speedy. And then we take Teleport to move very fast. Right? Makes sense. Now, when you're playing by yourself, movement speed is everything. So you can take 4 pieces of Isatar. Every time you defeat an enemy, you get 30% movement speed. Your damage is increased for all the movement speed that you've got. And then you take 2 pieces of Windloft, which gives you more movement speed. Incredible combination. Zipping through very fast. Wizards can fly. Now we go to the Challenge Drift pushing. Now, if you're very, very skilled with your timing and with your skill shots, you can really do some amazing things in Challenge Drifts. We'll essentially take the same build that we had, but, you know, we have Magic Missile, Meteor, Arcane Wind, and Teleport, but we have to take Black Hole. Black Hole is going to gather up everything. You hit him with the Meteor, you hit him with the Arcane Wind. That combination over and over and over has Wizards crush the path to the boss. And then it all comes down to, can you kill the boss in time? That's really what it comes down to. Once Wizards are good at killing the boss, they might be one of the highest Challenge Drift clearers out there. For the Challenge Drift here, we want to use the Feasting Barons pack. Increases the duration of your abilities that cause loss of control. Increases the damage done from all sources by 15% under loss of control. And unleashes an Ice Nova that deals damage when something dies while under a controlling effect, right? So you have a lot of crowd control on Wizards. You get a lot of value out of this set. You can kill the boss. Wizards are amazing at Challenge Drifts. Now, what are you going to do in dungeons? Well, remember, we do the same thing. Magic Missile, Arcane Wind, Meteor, Teleport. But remember when I told you Disintegrate has 1 use? Well, if you take Disintegrate here with Arcane Intensifiers, now it fires a stronger instantaneous beam, and it's going to give your party 10% more damage. So that's the one buff that you can bring, and you can kind of be like Ralph Wiggum, I'm helping, really. But Wizards are going to want to team with either a Necro or a DH in their party. You need one or the other so they can kill the bosses for you. You can plow the trash, they can plow the bosses. It's going to be a good combination. And here we can take Windloft here just to have a good mix of movement speed and damage. It's just a good balance. You can just take the entire set. Now let's jump into the raid guide. And for the raid, you're really just doing single target damage. So if you're feeling very confident, you can drop Teleport for Scorch. Now Scorch has a power, the Cowl of Arcane Truths, where it now launches an arcane orb that explodes when activated again or when it expires, damaging all nearby enemies, but the damage and explosion radius grow as it travels. So what it means is you need to let it travel the maximum distance and not detonate it yourself if you want to do the most damage. So, I'm going to take the standard stuff, Magic Missile, Meteor, Arcane Wind, Disintegrate, again for the 10% damage. And if you can survive raids without Teleport, take the Scorch, take the Arcane Orb, learn to throw it the right distance, that's how you're going to deal the most damage. And then we'll take the Windloft Perfection again. It's going to increase our movement speed, increases the damage that you're going to deal, and it's going to give you a shield. It's a good balance for raids. Now we get into the fun stuff, the PvP stuff, where things will change a bit. Now, this particular build is maybe a little bit more standard for a wizard, right? You stay back, you control everybody. You know, you've got your Teleport and your Black Hole trying to hit them and gather them all together. You've got your Ray of Frost, which is going to give you an amazing chill. It's going to piss off everybody. You throw your Black Hole you throw your Meteor right after your Black Hole for massive damage, and then Magic Missile is just going to, again, finish them off after you've used all of your cooldowns. A little bit more of a standard wizard play. and the untouchable Mountebank. Where did they come up with these names? Is going to give you a lot of survivability. Wizards are very squishy. This is going to help you stay alive. Black hole, gather them up. Throw the meteor so it lands in the black hole. Slow them with Ray of Frost. Then you can use teleport either offensively or defensively. Are they almost dead and running away? Chase them. Did they not care about anything you just did and are charging at you, ready to murder you? Teleport backwards. That's pretty much the idea. But now we go to PvP build number 2, and we're going to play totally differently. Now we are the Kamikaze Suicide Bomber Wizard build. So, Ice Armor. This skill is worthless. We haven't used this in any build. But if you take Winter's Eye, it no longer absorbs damage and instead conjures an ice storm around you that continuously damages and chills enemies. So you're doing this constant damage, right? Lightning Nova, you cast this before you jump in. It sends the lightning balls out, and then you teleport in, and it comes back in. So that's 2 passive damages that you've already done. Scorch, we are going to take this ridiculous combination of giving the 4 flaming orbs around you, combined with the Angmar's Repulsive Burden, which is going to make them all knock back. And now you've got 3 passive damages. The Ice Storm, the incoming lightning missiles, the spinning fire shield, which all chill and knock back perpetually. And then you obviously need to teleport in. So it's pretty simple. You press these 3 buttons, turn yourself into a bomber, you teleport into a bunch of people, and now all of a sudden, they don't even know what's happening. You just appeared, and all of a sudden their health is just dropping, they're chilled, they're getting knocked back, life is miserable. And then you can just magic missile, just start spamming your primary. It's just such an instantaneous way to use all of your abilities at the same time. They'll never see it coming. It's a pretty powerful build. You will certainly suffer some deaths here, and if you have a couple extra teleport charges, you can figure out what you want to do. Do you want to teleport forward again and pursue them some more? Do you want to teleport back out and try to survive? And if any of these cooldowns come back up, use them as they come back up again. But usually the fight is over so quickly. Either you murdered them all or they murdered you. But this is a very, very interesting meme, honestly, surprising, highly effective build. No one's going to expect the Suicide Bomber Wizard unless they watch this guide and they're fully prepared for anything they can see from any class. But I'm telling you, Lexyu was playing this, and this build works. If you can, let the battle kind of ensue, let people kind of use their cooldowns, and then you activate everything and dive in, it's pretty fun. You got to try it at least once, try it a couple of times, and see if you like it. Anyway, that is my guide on the Wizard. Despite their weaknesses, they are still pretty strong. They do great AoE damage. They can give you some buffs. They can get it done in PvP because they've got Black Hole and Teleport. That's always going to make them at least somewhat of a threat. We just need to look at some of these skills that just are big channeled, or they just don't do too much, or they just don't synergize very well, and you don't really feel like the commander of the elements here. I think some improvements could be made, especially on the leveling side. I mean, by the time they fix the leveling part, right, it's going to be too late. People are already going to be leveled up. But I don't think there's any class that gets like their final version at beyond 41. So that's, 41 to get Meteor, that's pretty rough. Anyway, for all you aspiring wizards out there, I hope that everybody who chooses Wizard, I hope you get hit with some massive buffs right in the beginning. And then all of a sudden you're going to be like, haha, everyone who said Wizard sucked, Blizzard buffed it, and now we're dominating. Good luck out there, guys. Thanks for watching.